Few television dramas have ever captured the emotional heartbeat of ordinary life as powerfully as Little House on the Prairie. When the series premiered in 1974, it quickly became more than weekly entertainment. Families gathered around their television sets not just to watch a story unfold, but to reconnect with values many believed were disappearing from modern life. Set in the humble frontier town of Walnut Grove, the show followed the struggles and triumphs of the Ingalls family with a sincerity that felt deeply personal. At the center stood Michael Landon as Charles Ingalls, portraying a father who was compassionate yet imperfect, strong yet vulnerable. Alongside him, Melissa Gilbert transformed Laura Ingalls into one of television's most beloved young heroines. Viewers watched her grow from a spirited child into a thoughtful young woman, creating an emotional connection that lasted long after the series ended. What made the show extraordinary was its ability to balance warmth with realism. Life in Walnut Grove was not romanticized beyond recognition. Poverty, sickness, prejudice, grief, and loneliness appeared regularly, reminding audiences that hardship was part of the human experience. Yet the series also offered hope, kindness, and resilience. In an era increasingly dominated by flashy entertainment and urban-centered sitcoms, the Prairie world felt refreshingly honest. That honesty helped the series become one of the defining television experiences of the 1970s and early 1980s, leaving a cultural impact that still echoes decades later. Michael Landon's powerful vision behind the camera. Although audiences primarily knew Michael Landon as the warm-hearted Charles Ingalls, his influence on the series extended far beyond acting. Landon became the driving creative force behind nearly every aspect of the production. He wrote scripts, directed episodes, supervised storylines, and shaped the emotional tone that defined the program. Few television stars in that era possessed such sweeping authority over a network drama. Landon believed deeply in storytelling that explored emotional truth, even when the material became painful or controversial. His vision turned what could have been a simple family program into something more layered and ambitious. He insisted that the show portray real suffering alongside joy, because he believed audiences connected more honestly to flawed humanity than polished fantasy. This creative control, however, came with consequences. Behind the scenes, tensions often emerged between Landon and other members of the production team. Co-creator Ed Friendly reportedly clashed with him over the direction of the series, particularly as Landon's influence expanded. Some cast members admired his dedication, while others felt overshadowed or unheard. Yet even critics acknowledged that Landon's relentless commitment gave the show its emotional power. He demanded authenticity from performers, and often pushed stories into darker territory than viewers expected from family television. The result was a series that remained emotionally compelling long after many similar programs faded into obscurity. Landon's leadership style could be difficult, but his determination transformed Little House on the Prairie into a landmark achievement that reflected both his strengths and his personal contradictions. Walnut Grove was more than a television set. To millions of viewers, Walnut Grove felt like a real town rather than a Hollywood creation. The dusty roads, modest homes, church gatherings, and schoolhouse scenes created an atmosphere so believable that audiences emotionally invested in the community itself. Unlike many television productions filmed mainly on sound stages, Little House on the Prairie embraced an earthy visual authenticity. The outdoor sets became characters in their own right, representing simplicity, endurance, and shared struggle. Fans often spoke about Walnut Grove as though it truly existed somewhere beyond the television screen. That connection explains why the town's destruction years later shocked viewers so deeply. For cast and crew members, the set also carried emotional meaning. Many actors spent nearly a decade filming there, growing up and growing older together. Children matured into adults, friendships formed, and careers evolved among those wooden buildings and prairie landscapes. The town symbolized stability during years of television success, yet maintaining the set became increasingly difficult as the series approached its conclusion. Ratings had declined by the early 1980s, and NBC recognized that the show's long run was nearing its natural end. While many programs quietly disappear after cancellation, Landon wanted something unforgettable. He believed the ending should carry emotional weight equal to the show's cultural significance. Rather than allowing the set to deteriorate or be reused for unrelated productions, he envisioned a dramatic farewell that would permanently close the chapter. In his mind, Walnut Grove deserved a final moment as powerful and emotional as the stories that had unfolded within it for nearly a decade. The explosive finale that shocked television audiences. When Little House on the Prairie concluded with the 1984 television movie, The Last Farewell, audiences witnessed one of the most astonishing endings in television history. The story centered on a corrupt land baron attempting to seize ownership of Walnut Grove. Rather than surrendering their homes and livelihoods, the townspeople made a devastating decision. They destroyed the town themselves. One by one, beloved buildings exploded in clouds of smoke and splintered wood. The church collapsed. The mercantile vanished in flames. The schoolhouse crumbled before horrified viewers who had spent years emotionally attached to those familiar landmarks. What made the moment extraordinary was its authenticity. These were not miniature models or clever visual tricks. Michael Landon ordered the actual set demolished using real explosives. The destruction carried symbolic meaning beyond spectacle. Landon believed that if Walnut Grove could no longer exist as the Ingalls family's home, then it should disappear completely rather than become an empty shell. For some viewers, the finale represented courage and dignity. The residents chose freedom over surrender, refusing to let greed erase their identity. Others considered the destruction unnecessarily harsh for a series remembered primarily for warmth and moral guidance. Children who expected a comforting goodbye instead watched their favorite town vanish violently. Yet the shock itself ensured that the finale became unforgettable. Decades later, television historians still discuss the decision because it broke conventional expectations about how family dramas should end. Instead of nostalgia alone, the finale delivered grief, anger, and finality, emotions rarely explored so boldly in mainstream television endings of that era. Why the series ended after nearly a decade. Despite rumors that have circulated for years, Little House on the Prairie did not end because of scandal or sudden cancellation. By the early 1980s, the television landscape had changed significantly. Audience tastes were shifting toward faster-paced dramas and contemporary sitcoms, while the Prairie setting no longer dominated popular culture the way it once had. Ratings gradually declined after years of success, leading NBC executives to conclude that the series had simply reached the natural end of its lifespan. For most programs, this kind of conclusion would have passed quietly. Yet because viewers felt emotionally attached to Walnut Grove and its residents, the ending carried unusual emotional significance. Michael Landon understood this attachment and refused to let the series fade away without a meaningful farewell. He reportedly feared the set might eventually be reused for unrelated productions, stripping Walnut Grove of its identity. Destroying it became a symbolic act of preservation through elimination. The town would remain forever connected to the Ingalls family, rather than becoming another generic Western backdrop. Some network executives questioned the dramatic approach, but Landon insisted on ending the story with emotional certainty. Ironically, the explosive finale gave the series a second life in television history. Programs that quietly disappear are often forgotten, but the destruction of Walnut Grove became legendary. Stories spread over time claiming the finale had been banned or removed from syndication because it disturbed audiences. In reality, the episode continued airing occasionally, though broadcasters often preferred lighter episodes during daytime reruns. This selective replaying contributed to the finale's mythic reputation, transforming it into television folklore passed down among longtime fans. The dark episodes that challenged family television. Many people remember Little House on the Prairie as gentle, nostalgic entertainment, filled with moral lessons and prairie charm. Yet beneath that comforting surface, the series frequently explored subjects considered remarkably daring for family television during the 1970s and early 1980s. Episodes addressed racism, addiction, disability, grief, poverty, abuse, and sexual violence with an emotional seriousness uncommon for mainstream programming at the time. One particularly controversial storyline, Sylvia, shocked audiences through its disturbing portrayal of assault and trauma. Rather than avoiding painful realities, the series confronted them directly, forcing viewers to grapple with emotional discomfort. Michael Landon believed family audiences could handle difficult truths if those stories were told with compassion and humanity. This philosophy distinguished the series from many contemporaries that preferred safer, lighter storytelling. The writers often used historical settings to comment indirectly on modern social issues, allowing viewers to examine prejudice and injustice through a frontier lens. Episodes dealing with racism challenged assumptions about morality and fairness, while stories about addiction revealed the destructive consequences of shame and despair. Even children watching the series encountered emotional themes that encouraged empathy and moral reflection. This willingness to tackle serious material contributed significantly to the show's lasting reputation. What initially appeared to be simple frontier nostalgia gradually revealed itself as emotionally courageous storytelling. The combination of warmth and harsh realism gave the series unusual depth, helping explain why it continues resonating with audiences decades after its original broadcast concluded. The cultural legacy that refuses to fade away. More than 40 years after its debut, Little House on the Prairie continues influencing popular culture in ways few television dramas achieve. Reruns introduced new generations to Walnut Grove, while streaming services and home media collections allowed longtime fans to revisit beloved episodes repeatedly. The series became part of a broader cultural longing for community, resilience, and emotional sincerity. Even viewers who never experienced the original broadcasts often recognize the show's imagery and themes because its influence remains deeply embedded in American television history. Schools, churches, and families still discuss episodes that explored moral dilemmas with unusual emotional honesty. The performances of Michael Landon and Melissa Gilbert remain iconic because they conveyed vulnerability without sentimentality. The show also helped shape expectations for later family dramas by proving audiences would embrace stories balancing tenderness with emotional realism. Modern television often celebrates darker themes and moral complexity, yet Little House on the Prairie explored many of those ideas decades earlier within a seemingly traditional format. The explosive finale contributed enormously to the show's lasting mythos. People who never watched the series still hear stories about the town being blown apart in its final moments. That dramatic ending ensured the show would remain part of television conversation rather than quietly fading into nostalgia. Ultimately, the series endures because it treated emotional struggle with sincerity. It reminded audiences that courage is not the absence of pain, but the willingness to endure hardship while preserving compassion and hope. Why Walnut Grove's destruction still divides audiences. The destruction of Walnut Grove remains one of television's most debated finales because it challenged viewers' emotional expectations so dramatically. For years, audiences associated Little House on the Prairie with comfort, family unity, and hopeful resolutions. Watching beloved buildings explode into rubble felt almost shocking in contrast to the series' traditional image. Some viewers considered the finale profoundly moving because it symbolized resistance against greed and oppression. The townspeople refused to surrender their dignity to an unjust authority, choosing self-destruction over humiliation. In that interpretation, the explosions represented freedom and self-determination. Others, however, viewed the ending as unnecessarily cruel and emotionally jarring. Children who grew up loving Walnut Grove suddenly watched it vanish violently before their eyes. Critics argued the finale undermined the comforting atmosphere that had defined the series for nearly a decade. Yet perhaps the controversy itself explains why the conclusion remains unforgettable. Television endings often disappear from cultural memory because they avoid taking emotional risks. Michael Landon deliberately chose the opposite approach. He wanted audiences to feel loss rather than simple nostalgia. By destroying the set physically and symbolically, he guaranteed that viewers would remember the ending emotionally rather than merely intellectually. Decades later, discussions about the finale continue because it captured something painfully human. Communities end, childhood places disappear, memories survive even when physical spaces vanish forever. Walnut Grove's destruction resonated because it reflected the universal experience of saying goodbye to worlds that once felt permanent and safe. The enduring truth behind Little House on the Prairie. The lasting power of Little House on the Prairie comes not from nostalgia alone, but from its understanding of human complexity. Beneath the prairie's sunsets and moral lessons existed stories about fear, loneliness, betrayal, resilience, and forgiveness. The series acknowledged that kindness does not erase suffering, and that strong families still experience heartbreak. That emotional honesty allowed audiences to recognize themselves within the struggles of Walnut Grove. Michael Landon understood that viewers connected most deeply to imperfection. His characters failed, argued, mourned, and sometimes made terrible decisions, yet they continued striving toward compassion and dignity. Even the controversial destruction of Walnut Grove reflected this philosophy. Life does not always end gently. Sometimes endings are painful, dramatic, and irreversible. Yet memory preserves meaning long after physical things disappear. The show's legacy continues because it balanced hope with realism more successfully than many modern dramas. It reminded audiences that emotional strength often emerges through hardship rather than comfort. The off-screen tensions, personal betrayals, and creative conflicts surrounding the production only reinforce how deeply human the entire experience truly was. Like the characters they portrayed, the people behind the series carried flaws alongside love and ambition. More than 4 decades later, audiences still debate the finale, revisit favorite episodes, and remember the emotional lessons learned from Walnut Grove. That enduring conversation proves the series accomplished something rare. It became more than entertainment. It became part of people's emotional history, a story that continues living because it reflected the complicated truths of life itself.